So there's been some conversation about David Krejci and should his number be retired to the rafters. Captain Paul from the locker room here. If you have not already, I appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, like, and comment down below. We are trying to reach 5,000 subscribers, and when we reach 5,000, we're going to be doing a $100 gift card giveaway. So if you want to enter that, make sure you're subscribed and have the notification bell active as well. Let's get right into it. Is David Krejci good enough to be raised to the rafters? I don't think so. And it's not because I don't appreciate what Krejci has done during his Boston Bruin career. Behind Patrice Bergeron, he filled that second line center slot beautifully. So I want that to be noted. But does he have the numbers to justify that ranking? So, drafted in the second round, 63rd overall in the 2004 NHL entry draft. Krejci, last season in 60 games played, had 16 goals, 40 assists for 56 points. Still very productive. He could have probably played another season or two. In totality of his whole career, 1,032 games, 231 goals, 555 assists for 786 points and a plus-minus of 166. That's a really good career. That's a really, really good career. That's a solid NHL career. But I don't think it's good enough to have his number raised to the rafters. Now, the most productive seasons that Krejci's ever had in his career happened in his third season, and then a decade later, where he hit 73 points 2 times. First time he did it, it was 2008-2009 season, 22 goals, 51 assists for 73 points. And, 22, you're thinking, oh, shoot, and maybe we have 2 number 1 centers. And Krejci at times had you wanting more. I think with Krejci, he's a phenomenal playmaker, great in his own end, but it always made you want a little bit more offensively because he definitely had the talent, in my opinion, to be around a point per game pretty much every season. And sometimes he got a little couple dinged up throughout his career, but relatively, he had a pretty damn long and good career. And as I said, that second really good season happened a few years ago in 2018-2019, where in 81 games played, he had 20 goals, 53 assists for 73 points. I respect David Krejci because when he left the first time Boston, went to go play back home in the Czech, right? Wanted to go be near his family. Once Bruce Cassidy left, he entertained coming back because I think there was a little bit of friction with Cassidy because it just was wearing on his players. And he came back to Boston. He wasn't going to go anywhere else, and he took a very cheap deal. If David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron were on the market, true actual free agents, they would have got far more money than they actually did. So I respect David Krejci and I love him as a Bruins fan, but looking at his career, I just don't seem rafter type numbers. A lot of 40, some 50, 60 point seasons, that's really good production. But in this era of Boston Bruins greatness, right? Bruins only won 1 Stanley Cup. And he was a pivotal part of those Stanley Cup runs. But when I look at like Bergeron and Chara, those are for sure rafter players. Brad Marchand, I think you could make the argument he's had the production. And then it's kind of a drop-off. You can maybe think about Tuukka Rask, but the one knock on him is he's never really won it as the starter. He does have the best numbers in Boston Bruins history, so I wouldn't be completely mad at his number being retired. But the reason why the Bruins won that cup and went on another big run a couple of years later was because of Tim Thomas' excellence throughout that prime. Whether you want to agree with it or not, sometimes Rask in the big moments would fall short. A phenomenal goalie, and I think sometimes the circumstances just didn't really pan out for him. But getting into this conversation, when I'm looking at Krejci, he was a very good second line center for a very long time. And is that enough to get him into the rafters? I just don't think so. And that, like I said, that's not to knock Krejci. I think Krejci was excellent for what he was. But when I'm looking at guys like Char and I'm looking at guys like Patrice Bergeron, like those are guys that are going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And those are the guys that kind of deserve that. And some might argue, well, Patrice Bergeron wasn't a point per game player throughout all of his career. But I would argue Patrice Bergeron had a lot more points, a lot more games played, and Krejci was good defensively, but Bergeron was the best defensive center of his era. That's why he won, 6 Selkies. The guy is a bona fide superstar on both ends of the ice. And I think because of the way, the physical style of Bergeron actually played, I'll be really fair here. I think it actually took away a bit of his offense at times, but later in his career, it seemed like he picked up the pace a bit more, and you could see that offensive production start coming into it when he actually hit 30 and older. It became even better, in my opinion. But getting back to David Krejci, we run into an issue when we're starting to make all of these players, whether we like them or not. Oh, well, they were good. Let's get in the Hall of Fame. This isn't the Hall of Very Good. This isn't like the rafters of very good players. This is excellent game changers, like Bobby Orr, Ray Bourque, Esposito, right? There's so many amazing players that have come through the Boston Bruins organization. And that is what I identify with as those numbers deserve to be raised to the rafters. When I look at Krejci, great player. Bruins do not win a cup without him. They do not win a cup without him because in that playoff run, going down here, in that playoff run with the Boston Bruins when they won the cup in 2011, he had 23 points in 25 games played, 12 goals, 11 assists. He was a pivotal part of them getting the distance, and even when they went back with Chicago, faced them and they lost, he had 26 points in 22 games played with 9 goals, 17 assists. So I'm not saying he doesn't have value. Krejci was very good in the postseason, 128 points and 160 games played, but I don't think the postseason alone quantifies him to be raised to the rafters. But that's just my opinion. Do you think David Krejci's number should be raised to the rafters, or do you agree with me? I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Again, if you have not already, I appreciate if you drop a like, comment down below, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.